So the Tennessee Titans found themselves in a very interesting situation. This team went from being 7-3 to being 7-10 by losing the last 7 games of the season, and we feel like it's just a start of the tides turning in the AFC South. When you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars compared to the Tennessee Titans, if you're a Tennessee Titans fan, it is very scary to see how this team will maneuver going forward. They had to cut 3 players this week as I record this video. They had to cut Zach Cunningham, Taylor Lewan, and Robert Woods, who led their team in receiving yards because of the cap situation. Now, Taylor Lewan couldn't stay healthy for the last couple of years, but when he was healthy, he did show some signs of still being a franchise tackle, but he couldn't stay healthy, and he was getting beat on certain plays, so they had to let him go for the cap. They also had to let Robert Woods go as well. He wasn't the same wide receiver that he was years ago for the Buffalo Bills or for the LA Rams. And you look at Zach Cunningham, good tackling linebacker, but they can find that late in the NFL draft, and they can develop that with Mike Vrabel. So that's not a huge big deal, in my opinion. What is a big deal is the fact that this offensive line is going to need a tackle immediately because of the loss of Taylor Lewan, and they're going to have to keep Ryan Tannehill upright, because what happened last season can't happen again for Tennessee Titans if they don't want to be bottom dwellers in the AFC as a whole. Ryan Tannehill kept this team afloat. They went 7-3 when he was in there, and he was balling. He had a 3-touchdown game against the Green Bay Packers, and he was doing his thing. And a lot of people like to disrespect Ryan Tannehill, say he's just a game manager, and that may be true, but he gets the Tennessee Titans to where they need to be, and he knows how to operate and maneuver with the wide receivers in this offense. And they had to insert Malik Willis in for a couple of games. Ryan Tannehill was out dealing with ankle injuries, and boy, did he look bad. He could not pass the football at all. 0 passing touchdowns to 3 interceptions. It got so bad for Malik Willis, they had to put in Josh Dobbs. And they called in Josh Dobbs on short notice, and they looked fairly good against the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't win the game, but the offense looked better. When I take a deeper look at Malik Willis, not saying that he won't ever be a starter in the NFL, but it's a lot of scary things that you see on film to where he just can't process plays right now, and the game is just too fast for him. So in situations like that, he should have just sat out this entire year, and maybe he needs to sit out next year as well. He has the arm, he has the mobility, but it takes more than that to just be a good NFL quarterback, and right now, Malik Willis just isn't a good NFL quarterback. He may turn into being that, but right now, he isn't that guy. So they need to keep Ryan Tannehill upright, because like they said, they're not going to cut him. They're not going to move on from him. The general manager is dug into the stands. They want to work out with Ryan Tannehill, and they're going to have to do that. And they can't draft a quarterback in this draft class as well, because you need to use those picks on either getting a tackle or a wide receiver or getting some more help on this offense. And speaking of those wide receivers, when they traded A.J. Brown, a lot of Tennessee Titan fans are disappointed. They were upset for the right reasons. Treylon Burks, I believe, will be a good wide receiver moving forward with this team. 444 receiving yards, 1 touchdown in the season. But he dealt with injuries, and he missed some games this year dealing with a tough turf toe injury. But he's a good physical wide receiver. Just let him develop. I like Nick Westbrook-Ikine. I believe that he can develop as well, but they need to get a veteran wide receiver out there that can go out there and make his own plays, and that can run routes and be a good safety blanket for Ryan Tannehill. They need to get a veteran wide receiver in that room to help out these young guys and help them develop. This is one of those situations where I'm beating the table for a team to go out there and sign somebody long in the tooth just to go out here and help speed up the development for these wide receivers, because Lord knows the Tennessee Titans pass game is one of the worst in the NFL, and it's not because of the quarterback solely. It's because these wide receivers can't get open, and it's the style of play. And speaking of the style of play, they are a rough, aggressive team. They've been running the football down people's throats for the last couple of years because they have one of the best running backs in all of football. Derrick Henry had another phenomenal season, 1,538 rushing yards and 13 rushing touchdowns in the season. But it's going to take more than just that for this team to get over the hump. I like everything that the Tennessee Titans have done in the past, but as of right now, it's starting to get a little ugly because the tires are starting to turn. They lost those last couple of games, and the game that they lost against the Jacksonville Jaguars really put a lot of things in perspective for me. And I believe the Tennessee Titans could have a bounce back year next year. You had Harold Landry, who missed all of last season with a torn ACL. He towards ACL in training camp. You pair him up with Jeffrey Simmons, who had a really good season this year and is one of the best defensive tackles in the game. 7.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble. You pair those two up together with that secondary with a Marnie Hooker back there, and you have Kevin Byard as well at the free safety position, who is still a beast. Dak Prescott would tell you about him. You have a good defense that can get you to certain points and times. And look at how they played against the Kansas City Chiefs this year. If Malik Willis could just make a couple of plays down the field, they could have beat the Kansas City Chiefs. That defense was all over Patrick Mahomes, and they blanket coverage the Kansas City Chiefs to a T. Their defense was not the reason that they lost games this year. They just couldn't score points, and they just don't have the weapons on the perimeter and the firepower to compete with the top teams in the AFC or even in the NFL in general. But when I really take a deeper look at the Tennessee Titans, why I am so fearful for this team moving forward, it is easier said than done to plug in these holes. Like I say, you have a wide receiver question. You have wide receivers that are in question. They're very young, they're very raw, but they're in question. And the offensive line needs some work. This is not the same offensive line from a couple of years ago. This is not the offensive line that was there when Ryan Tannehill first arrived and they were dominating the AFC South. And you look at that monster over there in Jacksonville, and the Indianapolis Colts might go out there and get a quarterback, and they may get things clicking right. The AFC South all of a sudden has a lot of competitiveness going on. And the Houston Texans are still rebuilding, but the Tennessee Titans can go from being the best team in this division to being second or third. And that's very scary for a team that has an aging quarterback and aging players on this team, and they don't have an out on those contracts just yet. That's why they had to cut some of those players earlier in the week. But the Tennessee Titans find themselves in a very interesting situation. Let me know in the comment section below. How do you feel about this team? Do you believe that this team will bounce back next year? And like I said, they dealt with a lot of injuries. Like I said, you were 7-3. And you went from being 7-10. If Ryan Tannehill could stay healthy, maybe you make that late playoff push and you compete with those teams. But one thing is for certain, with that head coach that they have in Mike Vrabel, they're not going to lay down for anybody. They're going to continue to be a gritty team. They're going to continue to go out there and fight every single year underneath them. And I believe Mike Vrabel is still a very good head coach. Them firing and moving on from Todd Downing, the former offensive coordinator, will help out as well, because every Tennessee Titan fan can tell you, it was the same basic offense. Run up the middle with Derrick Henry, run outside with Derrick Henry, throw to the tight end occasionally, and make the one big throw to a wide receiver a game. That was it. It was no flowness to the offense. It was very old and very early 2000s century. And in today's NFL, that's not going to work. And the tight end that they have for this team, Chig Okongwu, I like him a lot as well. 450 yards, 3 touchdowns on the season. I believe that you have a star tight end in him. Just continue to give him the ball. Go back and look at what he did against the Kansas City Chiefs as well. So this is a team, when healthy, they can compete with some of the big dogs in the AFC. But if Ryan Tannehill can't stay healthy and this team continues to deal with injuries, this team will have more seasons just like this one. So let me know in the comment section below. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.